Hello YouTube, I'm ABC, and today I'm giving you a quick tip about short circuiting. So, short circuiting, let's talk about what that is. So let's go to this basic Boolean comparison expression if statement thing. So we have two variables, A, which is true, and B, which is false. So, tell me, does option 1 happen or option 2 happen? I'm testing you guys here. Alright, so option 1 happens, because if we look at A and B, or this A or B statement, one of them is true, A is true, so therefore A or B is true, and we go with option 1. Now let's say if I set B to true. So we have A or B again. In this case still, at least one of them is true, so we still go with option 1. Alright, so regardless of what happens, if A is true, no matter what B is, it'll be option 1. So if you think about this from a computer's perspective, if the computer is reading through this and saying if A, okay, A is true, and then once it sees that A is true, it really doesn't need to do anything else, because it'll say, okay, I can see A is true. I know that regardless of what B is, this whole statement will be true. So that's called short circuiting. It will actually, once it finds out that the statement is true, it won't even check B. It'll just skip down to option 1. So that's how that works. So with OR statements, if your first statement is true, the computer will short circuit past it. Alright, I hope that made sense. Sorry, I'm a little bit in a hurry today. But, alright. But I hope it made sense. A similar situation happens with AND statements. So here, we have C and D. If C is false, it doesn't matter what D is, D could be true or false, it will hit on to option 2, either way. So likewise, when the computer's reading this, it will say if C and D. It'll actually not go that far. It'll say if C, it'll see that C is false, and then it'll determine that regardless of what D is, this whole statement will be false because C is false. So therefore, it'll always be option 2. Now, this may seem like just a academic theoretic thing that it's like, oh, okay, so it's some efficiency trick. That's what I thought of, at least. I thought, I'm never going to use this. This is just something that makes it slightly more fast, which I won't notice at all because computers are so fast, you would hardly notice a little optimization like this. But it's more than just an optimization. I use this a lot in my logic when I'm writing code, and I started using it so much that I was programming Java and I was using it, and then I switched back to GameMaker, and I was very frustrated because GameMaker does not support this. Or at least it didn't used to. However, as of February 2014, GameMaker introduced short circuiting into its code, which made me very happy because then I could do these little tricks and I don't have to worry about them evaluating the second part. Now let me go ahead and show you a situation where this comes in handy. Where, I have an enemy, this is a turret, and when my player's in range of the turret, he looks at me and he starts shooting at me. Alright? Fairly standard situation. And of course, if I get hit, I die. Alright? So, let me show you what I did here. So first off, I guess as a baseline, the player, he moves, and when he dies when the bullet collides with him. Fairly standard. The bullet does nothing but move. And in my turret, it's a little bit more complicated. In my step event, I have this little if statement here. Let me see if I can make it smaller again. I actually don't know how to make it smaller. Maybe, okay, no, FA is bigger. Maybe F7 smaller. Yes, it is. Okay, that's cool. Alright, so here's what happens here. So if the player exists and the player's within the range, then we set the angle and we shoot a bullet. This, by the way, is basically an alarm using a custom alarm. And if you don't know about custom alarms, you should, because I made a quick tips video about it. So you can check that out. There's a link in the description to my custom alarms tutorial. So what's significant here is I'm checking whether the player exists before I do this statement. And that's important because in this statement, I am actually referencing the player as if it existed. So if the player didn't exist and it ran this line of code, it wouldn't know what to do because I have an undefined variable here. Alright? So it's imperative that I have this here first, because once the way it runs now, if the player didn't exist after the player is destroyed, When it runs this, it'll say, okay, that's false. I don't need to check this anymore, so it'll just automatically skip down here. To kind of prove my point, I'm going to cut that and put it in front. So let's see what happens when that's referenced like that. Actually, I haven't tested this. I hope there wasn't a recent change to GameMaker that made this work. We'll see. If all goes well, this should crash right now. Yes, there we go. All went well. Okay, so we had an error right here. It said variable get 2.y. It's looking for a y variable, which is interesting because it's the y that's having problems with. So it actually evaluates that before it evaluates this. That's odd. Oh well, that's just interesting. Anyway, so you can see short-circuiting really saved the day right here because it would avoid evaluating this because it checked right here. So that is today's quick tip. I hope you found it interesting and educational and enjoyable, and yeah, I look forward to seeing you guys in future videos.